In fact, you have already set the tone for my preliminary statements. This resolution, Mr. Chair, was basically prompted by calls for assistance by several residents in Osamis City, Misamis Occidental, way back sometime July of last year. Considering, Mr. Chair, that these people, by way of my party list representation as representative of urban poor sectors, and considering further our advocacy to help them, Mr. Chair, I intervened by way of asking several officials of concerned agencies to look into those complaints, specifically the demolition of their houses during the pandemic, Mr. Chair. So initially, I touched base with the DILG, particularly Undersecretary Echeverry, and considering further, Mr. Chair, that Secretary Anyo at the time was COVID positive and he was under quarantine, I was able to talk to OIC Florese. I asked them to look into what was happening on the ground because this concerns the houses, the dwellings of the residents, and the order of the government at the time, Mr. Chair, is to stay home. And LGUs, I understand, were instructed to accommodate people, to shelter them from the onslaught of COVID-19. Until the end of September, December, Mr. Chair, until all the houses were demolished, I'm not sure how and why the agencies I asked to intervene, even the PNP, Mr. Chair, I asked the police officers to look into whether or not the demolition followed the rule of law. Because as a lawyer, Mr. Chair, I know that demolitions can only be had by court issues, by demolitions orders or writs issued by the court. I was able to verify on the ground and with the confirmation of Yusek Echeverry that there were no court orders coming from the RTC of Osamis City, Mr. Chair. That is why I filed this resolution to look into this, to get to the bottom of this, Mr. Chair. I have several questions to the invited agencies, and I just hope, Mr. Chair, that they will answer honestly and with complete accuracy. I'd like to thank the Speaker, Alan Lord Velasco, for his full support in this resolution. I'd like to thank the Majority Leader, Mr. Chair, for referring this issue to your committee. And Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank you for immediately scheduling the hearing for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Marcoleta. The next item on agenda is to hear the invited guests if they have opening statement here in the Nograles Hall or in Zoom.
Mr. Chair, before we go on with the statements of the invited guests, may I be allowed to make manifestation?
Yes, DS OAMINAL. 5 minutes.
Yes, even less.
Yes, sir.
First of all, Mr. Chair, I commend the leadership of the committee for the prompt action that you have taken in conducting this hearing today when the matter was referred to you, because prompt resolution on this matter would give clarifications and satisfaction with all the people concerned. On the outset, Mr. Chair, as I listened from your preliminary remarks, that under our role, the jurisdiction of the committee is on matters directly and principally relating to malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in office committed by officers and employees of the government. And that is why I was listening from the honorable sponsor, the honorable author of the resolution. I was trying to hear from him on how this malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in office committed by what office and who are the officers and employees. And as I hear from him, he said that there were call for assistance, and he did not mention who are these people affected. I am the district representative of the city of Osamis, where it belongs, and the very barangay concerned. I am also a resident of this barangay, and considering the what I got from the chair before the start of the hearing, that he, before making a determination on whether or not the committee has jurisdiction on the matter, that he wants to listen from the different resource speakers. So as part of the leadership, I fully support the call of the chair, and as he said, that he doesn't want that this committee, this process would be taken advantage by any politicians, by any member to further one's interest, but for the interest of the people in general that we are serving. So because of that, Mr. Chair, instead of for me to move for a motion to whether or not the committee has jurisdiction, I am reserving that, Mr. Chair, in support of your leadership after hearing the resource speakers that are present today. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable OAMINal. For the resource persons here present and in Zoom who wants to give a opening statement, you are welcome to do so. Deputy Court Administrator Raul Villanueva, you're recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor, Mr. Chairperson, and the honorable members of this committee. I am Deputy Court Administrator Raul Bautista Villanueva. I was asked by Court Administrator Jose Maidas Marquez to attend this hearing regarding the resolution filed by the Honorable Congressman Marcoleta. I am just here to reply to whatever questions that may be asked in connection with this matter, which apparently involve some orders issued by our courts in Osamis City. But I have to inform you, Your Honors, that considering the short notice given to us to prepare for today's hearing, we will try as much as we could to be as specific and detailed as possible, Your Honors, based on what we know as of this time. Thank you very much.
First, this hearing was called simply because this representation would like to know why a project funded by the national government through expropriation, which did not follow certain processes, was built on a private land. One of the components of this housing project, Mr. Chair, was even built on a public land, which is an inalienable part of the patrimonial domain of this country. I'd like to ask whether or not the expropriation process followed the legal procedures. For example, did the city government went through the Office of the Solicitor General, or the OGCC, based on the provisions of Republic Act 10752? Also, did the local government know that under Republic Act 7279, parcels of land belonging to small landowners are exempted from expropriation, and that expropriation can only be resorted to after exhausting other modes of land acquisition, namely land banking, land swapping, land negotiation, donation to government, community mortgage, etc., etc. The last resort, Mr. Chair, is expropriation, if the other modes of acquisition have been exhausted. And then, finally, the law says that if you resort to expropriation, parcels of land belonging to small lot owners are exempted. And so, there are so many things, Mr. Chair. Number one. Number two.
I think
I can go on and on, Mr. Chair.
yes. First to register is Representative Dante Marcoleta. Sir, you have the floor for your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I understand that.
I give you 30 minutes. Then, if you still need, we go to a second round after all those who have been registered have been called.
Certainly. Mr. Chair, I understand that the city mayor is not on the Zoom and the city administrator will be the one to answer for him.
Yes, sir. That is also my understanding.
So my questions to the office of the mayor. Did you file a special civil action for expropriation against several residents in Osamis City on January 18, 2020 to give way to a housing project? City administrator, please.
Attorney Sama.
Yes, Your
Pwede.
Honor.
Yes,
The city indeed filed, Your Honor.
that's why. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Isn't it true that the previous city officials approved a resolution dated February 18, 2019, seeking to stop the DPWH, the District Engineering Office in Tangub City, from undertaking the same project? Yes or no?
That was before my assumption of office. I have no idea. No, Your Honor. I have no idea.
Mr. Chair, point of order. I was of the belief
Yes, sir.
that the hearing is not the way how it is in accordance with the role, which is the determination of the preliminary determination on whether or not we have jurisdiction. I yield.
Actually, they are two separate things: jurisdiction and a preliminary determination of the evidence. They're two separate things, sir. They're
Yeah.
not intertwined.
Yeah,
We have jurisdiction as the Committee on Rules on January 18 referred the matter of House Resolution 1197 to the Committee on Public Order and Accountability. Good government and public accountability. Good government and public accountability.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And in accordance to our role, when the referral is being made by the Rules Committee to the Committee on Good Government, then we have to decide by majority of the members.
Yes, after we hear the evidence, sir.
That's why, Mr. Chair, but the way how we are doing now, we are now conducting an investigation as if there is already a determination on whether or not we have jurisdiction on the matter. Because the way how DS Marcoleta is now
Sir.
asking question, it is now as if the resource speaker is now considered as an adverse party.
Sir, can I answer your point to parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Actually, these are two separate things. Do not intertwine them. The first issue that you are raising is our jurisdiction. We have jurisdiction as stated because the Committee on Rules on January 18 referred it properly and properly received by the committee and referred this 1197 resolution to us. With regards to the preliminary determination, that is based on the evidence. We need ample time. It says there on paragraph 2 of Rule 2, Section 4. Can you read the second paragraph, sir? It says there we need to hear the evidence first.
Yeah, if I will read the rule, Mr. Chair, which you are
Yes.
citing, Section 2, preliminary determination.
Yes, sir.
After determining compliance with the preceding section, the committee shall calendar in its agenda for preliminary determination a mission referred to it immediately upon receipt of the referral by the House of Representatives or upon receipt of the information in motu proprio cases. No. With proper notice to its member to determine whether such referral falls within its jurisdiction. So we have to determine whether the referrals that are being referred to us now falls within our jurisdiction. And the last sentence of this rule, Section 2, the decision of the committee whether to conduct an inquiry shall be by a majority vote of the
Yes, sir.
members of the committee in a meeting constituting a quorum.
Sir, sandali lang. Nag-skip kayo ng paragraph. May tatlong paragraph po yan. Binasa niyo po yung first and third paragraph. Let me read the second paragraph.
Okay.
The author, which in this case is DS Marcoleta, shall be given the opportunity to formally present their allegations, claims, and identify, delineate, or simplify the issues involved before the committee, which means a hearing. The committee may also consider the following. So, please, DS OAMINAL, let's give him a fair chance to present his case, allegations.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I was expecting him in his preliminary remarks that he should present evidence. He should not get evidence from the resource speakers.
Okay, may we remind DS Marcoleta to present your allegations and the executive summary of your allegations so that the member questioning will be satisfied that is indeed malfeasance, misfeasance, or nonfeasance, which is a jurisdiction of this committee.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Ominal,
pinakamadali siguro dito, Mr. Chair. Do you want to answer all the questions, DS OAMINAL, para madali tayo?
Sir, DS Marcoleta, please
answer the
address
question?
the chairman first. Do not address the other member directly.
Mr. Chair, if DS OAMINAL wanted to answer all the questions, that's okay with me. Para let us spare the resource persons already. Because it's not even the resource
DS
person.
Marcoleta,
Mr. Chair,
this is
Mr. Chair,
I want to focus on the events of those demolition happening on the Sapin City, not personality, sir.
Yes.
I want to be focused on the issues at hand and the violations of law, and if there indeed is malfeasance or misfeasance in this case. That's my only objective here, not debate, not mano-imano. So, I
Yes.
hope pagbigyan mo po ako doon.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Kanina pa, binabanggit ko na. Demolitions were undertaken during the pandemic and then there were no court demolitions issued. The buildings were constructed on private lands, not owned by the city government. One component of that project was even erected on a public land, which is inalienable, not disposable. The project, Mr. Chair, is implemented. I think the notice to proceed was, I think, September 2019, and I'd like to know when it was started, because I believe it was started only mid of 2020. But there is a report I will show to this body that as of January 31, 2020, that project, specifically Building 1, was already 71.36% complete. How's that? The notice to proceed was September 23, 2019. But the construction is yet to start in May of 2020. How come there is already a completion at the rate of 71.36%? I asked the office of the DPWH, Central Office. They say that the project engineer on the ground is the one feeding through an application called PMCA. This is a computer-generated report. Meaning to say, if the project engineer has access to that system, he will feed the information to the system so that even the project is not yet started, it's already 71.36%. I'd like to ask the COA, why was it permitted? Is the COA looking into this? Is the WD,
Okay,
DPWH
I now
looking
understand
into
the line of questioning. So, DS Ominal, can we give him time to present his case by asking the COA and DPWH these questions and the Osami City government? He needs to ask them.
Mr. Chair, if that is the role, that the evidence to be adduced by the author or by the complainant will be from the prospective
Actually-
adverse witness. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
as a matter of fact, this is the point raised as I listened from the Honorable Ching Beloso. He was raising the point on point order that DS Marcoleta should be given first the opportunity to present evidence at hand. It should not be evidence from the resource speakers, because the way how he is questioning now is that
Okay.
he is asking, elucidating evidence from the resource speakers. Remember, they are resource speaker. That's why under our rules, it's only witness or adverse party who should be sworn under oath when we are already in our proper investigation.
Actually, it is not written in any rule that we cannot swear them under oath. As long as the chair sees fit that invited guests be given the oath, then he can decide on that.
Well, no problem with that, Mr. Chair. But my only point in connection also with the point of order raised by the other members is that it should be the author should present the evidence at hand to us now. the
Mr. Chair,
documentary
may I answer
evidence,
that?
and other,
Okay,
and then we will decide.
Yes, sir.
May I
You
answer
I've heard that already twice. Let's give him the opportunity to present his case, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, sir.
I have several pieces of evidence, Mr. Chair. As a matter of fact, they are from A to U.
Please tackle them one by one because so to simplify the issues before we proceed to the interpellations, Mr. Sponsor. You are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for the Office of the Mayor. The first building of the housing project under contract 19 KJO 186 had a 50 million funding under the 2019 GAA. That is correct, Mr. City Administrator?
Mr. Chair, I thought DS Marcoleta will present an evidence, not questioning the resource speakers.
How can I present my evidence, Mr. Chair, if DS OAMINAL keeps on interrupting this representation?
No,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I request for 5 minutes break?
5 minutes break.
Yeah, so we can discuss this
Okay.
matter.
Suspension for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hearing resumed. Cong.Marcoleta, you are given 10 minutes to give the executive summary of allegations before the next phase, which is a question and answer interpellation phase will proceed. So this is a 10-minute uninterrupted presentation. Thank you. 10 minutes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I am presenting 2019 Status of Contracts Report, Regular Infra, Regional Implementation as of 31 January 2020. This is a system-generated report, an application called PCMA by the DPWH. On page 73 of that report, Mr. Chair.
Can you give a copy to the committee sec after the
I
hearing?
will give all these copies to the Chair. Project 19KJ0186. This is the project we're talking about, Mr. Chair. Constructed by Alpha and Omega General Contractor. This is the contractor. As of January 31, 2020, that project is 71.36% complete. That is why I wanted to ask the contractor if he is present, because I know he started the project sometime May 2020. How come it is already 71.36% complete? As a matter of fact, Mr. Chair, I will show the corresponding picture taken on December 14, 2020, which I think is in the slide as I gave the COMSEC. What is the status of that project as of December 2020? Can you please flash it on the screen so that you can see the difference? I'd like to ask, of course, the DPWH why they did not verify that report. And so, COA, I'd like to ask also whether the first billing of that contractor, how much is that? Because if he was paid to the rate of 71% of that project, which is yet to be constructed, then the COA was paying a ghost project, Mr. Chair. And I'm saying that the cluster project in Malaubang, in Barangay, Mr. Chair, was constructed on a public land. To remedy the situation, Mr. Chair, DS OAMINAL filed a resolution in January 2020 converting the particular land area consisting of about 82
You mean a bill,
hectares.
House bill?
It's House bill. It's here, Mr. Chair. I will give you. And of course, he can, that's the report. The picture, the picture of the litrato yun nung project. It's a project. And so he filed a bill, Mr. Chair, converting that public land into alienable and disposable. It is as if that that particular bill becomes a law, he could have remedied the situation. I will ask, of course, the resource person, especially the Solicitor General, whether a project can be constructed on a public land, whether the city government can determine for itself the use of a public land. And then, Mr. Chair, there is a writ of possession, and it is all here. Is the writ of possession, Mr. Chair, miraculously turn itself into a title covering all those lots expropriated in the name of the city government? And so why on building 1 and building 2, these projects were constructed considering that these are private lands? By the way, the writ of possession, the procedure was still being questioned by the residents. It's already with the Supreme Court, Mr. Chair. That's why there is a representative from the Office of the City Administrator. Did DS OAMINAL notify the House of a possible conflict of interest in filing that bill based on Section 12, Article 6 of the Philippine Constitution? Because he must have done that. Because it was his project. Where did the money come from in regard to the cluster housing? There are 3 projects involved in this project, Mr. Chair. The pictures are already here. I will give all this to the Chair. In Barangay Laman, Mr. Chair, there are 2 condo-type buildings. The first one is funded by the national government, 50 million pesos. The second building is funded by the local government, 50 million. But there is a cluster housing in Barangay Malaubang. That's where it was constructed on a public land. There is a 50 million budget to that. Where did that come from? I'd like to ask the COA. Kasi, Mr. Chair, yung first building is 19 KJ 0186. The second building is 20 KJ 0183 or something. Pero yung Malaubang, what is the contract ID? Where did the 15 million come from? Wala naman sa GAA yun. Wala rin sa city government. Kaya pala, ang nangyari, dito sa billboard nila, Mr. Chair, yung first building, 35 million na lang. But, sa GAA, this is 50 million. Naging 35 million na lang. Ito, billboard nila ito. Silang maggamay ito. Bakit naging 35 million? Because the 15 million was placed in Malaubang, the cluster project. That's technical malversation, Mr. Chair. Why did the city government, sabi niya, oh, we will condemn, we cannot injure, we cannot harm our residents. Pikit mata, sasabihin nila. Ibig sabihin, yung mga residents na to na nag-complain sa Supreme Court, Mr. Chair, sila mismo nag-demolish. I will show you the evidence, Mr. Chair, nandito. Ayan, ba yung 71%? As of December 14, 2020, yan ba yung 71%? Tingnan ninyo. Baka 17, baka 17. I'm not an engineer. Pero as of January 31, 2020, it's already 70.36%. 2020 na yan. Hindi, it's 17 pa lang yan eh. But as of January 31, 2020, Mr. Chair, sa report ng DPWH, 71% complete. How can you do that? Ngayon, paano nyo i-demolish yung bahay ng dahil binigyan lang kayo ng writ o possession? I will question even the court, Mr. Chair. Sabi ni DS OAMINAL sa kanyang privilege speech, bakit ko raw sinabi na merong 50,000 pesos allowance yung RTC court? Sabi niya, oh, it's a practice. Is that so, Mr. Administrator? Is that your practice that your courts are being given allowances by the city government or the local government? Sabi ni DS OAMINAL, hindi naman 50, 25 lang eh. Kahit na 5 pesos lang yun, DS OAMINAL, mali pa rin yun. Because I don't think the judge should receive allowances. The judge should maintain the cold neutrality of an impartial judge. Justice Peras, RTC 15, number 15 and 35. Palagay ko, inalis nyo na siya. He's somewhere else. He can no longer stand the pressure in Osamis City. Kung walang demolition order coming from the court, with the writ of possession, you can demolish. Possession is one. Ownership is another. My question, bakit pinayagan ng DPWH at saka ng COA na itayo yung mga projects na yon dun sa lupa?
Sir,
that are still
1 minute to
private
go
land?
for the 10 minutes.
These are the things that we would like to determine, Mr. Chair. Left and right lang, violation lahat ng ito. Gusto kong hanapin lahat ng kasagutan. All questions must be answered truthfully, honestly, for the sake of our people, Mr. Chair.
The allegations have now been outlined and those are the allegations that he outlined. I see 4 allegations. One is a ghost project. Number 2 is technical malversation allegation. Number 3 is the falsification of the report of the engineer on site for the project. Number 4 is the unethical giving of allowance, which violates the Corrupt Practices Act for the RTC judges from the city of Osamis. So those are the initial. And number 5 is the not proper following of procedure on demolition. So, and number 6 is it was earlier mentioned in the Bayanihan as one act, there is a provision to cease all demolition, suspension of all demolition. So there are 6 allegations.
I
Yes.
said that they violated Republic Act 7279 because under that law, the small landowners are exempted.
Okay,
They also violated Republic Act 10752 because the local government should have gone through the Solicitor General or the Office of the Government Council.
Okay,
That is the law.
the 7 and 8 allegations.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I think it is also our right now to ask questions to the author on the allegations that he has
Sir,
pursuant to the role. And as I said, Mr. Chair, we are not, as what I understand, we are not calling here witnesses. Saying interpolation to witnesses. It's
those are
resource
the resource
speakers.
persons. Resource persons.
Resource persons. That's why, Mr. Chair, a point of clarification, with that 8 allegations now, pursuant to the role, we would like to ask the author to specify who are, or what, in its allegation, who is the adverse party, whose office committed the violation.
Actually, the adverse party, in my opinion, is the Republic of the Philippines because the laws are for.
Mr. Chair, I am sorry, no? Section 1, under our role, it is very clear here that the good government shall have jurisdiction over all matters directly and principally relating to malfeasance. So if that is the malfeasance or misfeasance committed, malfeasance, non-feasance in office. So it should be specified what particular office that commits where this malfeasance is committed. And second, he has to specify who are the officers and employees that commits this particular malfeasance and non-feasance.
Actually, I can answer because I heard the 10 minutes statement. I can answer for him because I want this hearing to proceed because if we keep on facing roadblocks, we will go in circles. So I don't want the hearing to go in circles because my only quest is the quest for truth. So I can, if you want me to answer, I will answer those who is the allegation alleged on which office. I can answer.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So that
Okay.
to guide the members in our
Okay,
deliberations.
number 1 allegation is the ghost project. So the violations here is propounded on the DPWH and the Commission on Audit. Number 2 allegation is the falsification of documents, public documents in the report of the site engineer, again on the DPWH. Number 3 is the using of public land, which is, I think, inalienable public land. So this is on the city of Osamis and the city of DPWH. And number 4,
Mr. Chair, on that number 3 allegation, public land, that is not part of the resolution, Mr. Chair. The issue, although I know, Mr. Chair, the regulation is that the government project should be implemented in a public land.
Can I finish? You asked me to
Yeah.
comply, and now you are interrupting me, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, it's not an interruption, but it's just a clarification that raising the point that the number 3 allegation that there is a violation on implementing projects in a public land, it is not in the resolution, Mr. Chair. I'm just raising the point that.
Okay, noted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, number 4, there is allegation that the procedures on demolition were not followed, and PCUP regulation is part of this. So I think that is part and parcel with the city of Osamis. And number 5, allegation is the expropriation law on the expropriating public small lands is prohibited under that law. So
So who is the respondent on that
the
expropriation?
I think the petitioner, City of Osamis is the petitioner with the court. So City of Osamis, sir. So number 8 allegation is we call this the violation of the Bayanihan as one act and the corresponding DILG memo on suspending all demolitions nationwide during the Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2 effectivity. So that is on the City of Osamis also. And number 2, of course, the courts, because it issued the writ of possession while there was the Bayanihan 1 was effective. So
Okay, Mr. Chair. I think for the first 3 questions, the DPWH is on
yeah,
board.
sir, it's like you are presiding over the hearing. I am the chairman. I will see how this hearing will proceed and how it will be. You're mapping out already the flow. I will say what the flow is, sir. If you may allow me to point out the flow, then I can do my job, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
can we continue the
Yes,
interpolations,
Honorable
please? Because
Presley De Jesus, you are recognized.
Parliamentary
So I'll be the one.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First, for the DPWH.
Hindi, si ano muna, si Marcoleta muna.
Okay.
Si those
Akala ko
will
tapos
follow the order. Hindi pa ho siya tapos. Ano pa lang yon? Sabi niyo presentation of evidence. Given 10 minutes. We gave him 10 minutes to present the allegations uninterrupted, which I thank you, DS OAMINAL, that you gave him 10 minutes. Now,
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
yes, Congressman Biason.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to raise this question before we proceed with the interpellation. The best way we proceed with this highly contentious issue is to stick by the rules. So my question is with regard to the current parliamentary status. Are we proceeding under Section 2 of the rules with regard to preliminary determination, or are we now entering into the inquiry proper? It is also relevant because it would determine if we are going to consider the resource persons as resource persons or as witnesses, which are given by the
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Rufy Biason. We are now entering, according to Section 2 of our rule, the author or party in interest, which is DS Marcoleta, shall be given the opportunity to formally present his allegations and identify, delineate, or simplify the issues involved before the committee. He has now completed the first task, which is formally present the allegations, claims, and identify, and delineate, and simplify. Now, he is now going to the second phase, delineate or simplify the issues involved before the committee. So we are now on still Section 2. Have I answered your question? Section 2, preliminary determination still.
Yes, thank you for that clarification, Mr. Chairman. And one final question. at what point will it be determined that we will be entering into the inquiry proper?
I think after one hearing, we can determine it as a committee, Mr. Member, Sir, Honorable Biason.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We now proceed to the question and answer portion. This is a question and answer, so let us not interrupt the question and the answer. So, can we take the oath first, sir, before the question from Attorney Raul Villanueva? No. Okay. Please stand up, those in the Zoom, resource persons in Zoom, and the resource persons on site for the oath. Comsec.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, before this congressional inquiry, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you, resource persons, for your time. Your service to this committee is invaluable. May we proceed with the first interpellator, DS Marcoleta. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just on my second question. The answer given by the city administrator is that he did not know about the resolution which I asked. So I will present the resolution, Mr. Chair. It is resolution number 5719. This is the previous administration. They sought to stop the DPWH in that area from undertaking the same subject. So this is my Annex B in my presentation, Mr. Chair. Question to the office of the mayor. The two condo-type buildings are located in Barangay Laman. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Who is the chairman, the barangay chairman of Barangay Laman?
As far as I know, it is Barangay Captain Sancho OAMINAL, Your Honor.
How is he related to DS OAMINAL?
The younger brother, Your Honor.
Younger brother, thank you. Were you aware that on August 24, 2020, in the program Peace and Serve the People, slide 1 please, DS OAMINAL went on air and he cited Republic Act 10752. Slide 1 please. Well, this is being fixed, Mr. Chair. Let me go to the next question. Mr. Administrator, is it not true that the land in Laman to which this building 1 is being constructed is not owned by the city government?
As of the moment, not yet, Your Honor.
As of the moment?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you have already constructed it, right?
I understand, Your Honor, that
It's not what you understood. I'm asking you, as of now, it is not yet in the name of the city government, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you set up a project on a property not owned by the Osamis government?
Yes, Your Honor.
How is it so?
Your Honor, a writ of possession has already been issued. The property was already vacated by its occupants, and there was a government project on that site. It was the DPWH that implemented it, Your Honor.
Okay. Kabuti na lang inamin mo. Did the residents voluntarily vacate their houses, or their houses were demolished?
They voluntarily vacated, Your Honor, and it was even, I understand, the contractor who helped them remove some of the remnants, Your Honor.
That's okay. Kung voluntary, okay na yon. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please.